Hello, History Heroes. It's Miss Gina, and we are here today to discuss Unit 6, Lesson 3, Justinian the Emperor. Now, if you want to get that progress completed, you can watch my recordings, attend class, and mark that lesson complete. Go in and do the checkpoint. Bingo, done. Today in class, we're going to read and locate the main idea from a paragraph, use the map of the Byzantine Empire, that's 330 to 550 AD, to review cardinal directions and compare the Byzantine Empire when Justinian became emperor and how it grew. We'll also talk about the need for laws both during the Byzantine Empire and today. All right, things to think about while we are working on this lesson are just a few. There are 1, 2, 3, 4. Who was the greatest Byzantine emperor? That's what we want to know. Who expanded the size of the Byzantine Empire? What do we call the set of laws created by Justinian for the Byzantine Empire? And why is it important to have laws and make people follow them? Those are the main things you need to think about as we are working through this lesson. Now, when you come to class, right here, we're going to do some map activities and have some fun with this. But if you look right here at the map key, this is called the legend or the map key. These polka dots are the Byzantine Empire under Justinian. Now, this is not when he started his rule, but this is when he finished, towards the end of his time of ruling the Byzantine Empire. All of this area is where he ruled. Now, we're going to do some mapping skills with that, so get your honey buns into class and let's have some fun with it. Now, while we're working on that, I want you to think about, too, I want you to be ready and come to class and be able to type one thing that you know about Constantinople. Now, if you're completing your lessons, you should already know about Constantinople and be able to type one complete sentence. So be ready for class. All right, when Justinian arrived in this city, now Justinian was a little boy, and he did not grow up in the city. He grew up in the farm area, but he did not want to be a farmer. He wanted to come to the big city. So he begged and begged his parents, and they finally let him come, and he came and he lived with his uncle. When he arrived in the city, he was overwhelmed, and that means just didn't know what to think. The buildings were the biggest he had ever seen, and people swarmed everywhere. Justinian got his wish and attended school because that's what he really wanted to do. He received a good education, but the studies were difficult. That means it was hard for him. Teachers gave him hours of homework in math, music, and astronomy. Now, astronomy is the study of the stars and the planets. And that back then, they didn't have a GPS, so they had to study the stars and the planets to find their way around. And though he memorized 50 lines of Greek poetry every single day and spent hours learning to speak in public, he never quite learned to pronounce Greek words exactly as the Greeks did. That's kind of like Miss Gina's Spanish. It is very bad. After Justinian finished school, he joined the army. He helped the officers keep records, order supplies, and plan their battles. Then his elderly uncle, remember that's the uncle he came to live with, he became emperor, and Justinian helped him too. The old man, who had no children of his own, was very fond of Justinian and so grateful for his help that he adopted his nephew. Now that was a big deal because he was the emperor. When his uncle died, Justinian became the new emperor of the Byzantine Empire. That's really cool. When Justinian took over, it wasn't a very big empire, but like I said, Justinian decided to change that. The barbarians, remember the barbarians were anyone they considered barbarians anyone outside of the empire that was fighting to take over land. And the barbarians had toppled the great, glorious Western Roman Empire. Now, you should have already studied about that in your lessons. Now, Justinian wanted to pick up some of those pieces. He wanted to get some of that land back. So he recruited or hired or talked some people into He recruited them. He talked them into being on his team, many men, and he got them into his army, and he set off to take over lands that once belonged to Rome, lands in Italy, North Africa, Spain, and around the shores of the Mediterranean Sea. Now, again, if you come to class, we're going to work on these mapping skills, and we're going to do some activities related to these maps. But right now, we're going to continue on with our story, so we won't have to do that when you come to class. Now that Justinian ruled all these different places, he had a problem. Each land had its own laws. A lot of them even had their own languages. So it was very difficult. Something that was against the law in one place was perfectly fine in another place. A thief might be put to death in one part of the empire, but only told to pay a fine in a different part of the empire. It was very confusing to rule an empire with so many different laws. So Justinian set out to make one set of laws for everyone in his empire. It was a huge job. Hundreds of scholars helped him to collect all the laws of the ancient Romans and the Greeks, and some new laws were written as well. Now, scholars were very, very smart people. That's what we call people who spend their lives studying, so they were very smart. The new set of laws that they worked together and wrote was called, listen to this, the Code of Justinian. Everyone in the Byzantine Empire was supposed to follow these laws. Now, why do you think they needed one set of laws? What do you think would happen if you had different rules at your house for every day of the week? Can you imagine? What about if Monday you could have cake for breakfast, but on Tuesday you couldn't have cake for breakfast, but on Wednesday you could have cake for breakfast? You might get very confused and not know what the rules were. So rules in our house are sort of like laws, and we have to kind of try to have them for everybody to keep the world running smoothly and keep your house running smoothly. That's probably why your parents have rules. Now, here are some examples of the Code of Justinian. The sea and the seashore belong to everyone. Every person in the empire is allowed to go to the beach. No one can say, I own this part of the beach, and you're not allowed here. Miss Gina kind of likes that one because I do love the beach. Rivers belong to no one. Everyone in the empire can fish in the rivers without being told to leave. The next one, he who finds a jewel or other treasure washed up on the seashore may keep it for himself. The next one, a thief who steals something valuable must pay the owner 4 times the worth of the stolen object. For example, if I stole a candy bar that was worth $1, I would have to pay somebody back $4. So, do you think that was fair? If someone is trimming a tree near a road, he must call out a warning to anyone passing by. Be careful, he should say. Limbs might fall on you. If there is no warning and a falling limb injures a traveler, it's the tree trimmer's fault, the person cutting the tree. But if the traveler ignores that warning and is injured or hurt, it's not the tree trimmer's fault. It's their fault for not listening. And look at this last one. This is another example. A father cannot force his son to get married. Because back in the Byzantine Empire time, during this time, some fathers really did. They forced their sons to marry certain ladies because they would receive something called a dowry, and it was worth a lot of money. They got a really, really expensive gift. The parents did when their son married. So often that created some very sad marriages. Now, if you take a look here, Doodlebugs, you look right here. Miss Gina has some blue stars and some green stars and an orange star. I'm sorry. And I have a purple star. I have blue, green, orangey color, and purple. Now, if you look at the blue stars, blue star here, blue star here, blue star here. That is the original Byzantine Empire. That side, look at that. Egypt, Asia Minor, Greece, and it's right around the Black Sea. And see, there's Constantinople right up there. That was the original Byzantine Empire when Justinian took over. Now, after that, then when he decided he wanted to take some of his empire back, he went, the first place they went, they went to Italy, right here. Oh, let me see what happened. There we go. They went to Italy, right here, in the orange area, and conquered the Ostrogoths. That's the group of barbarians that had taken over that land. So first they conquered the Ostrogoths. Finally, they took the southern area. Oh, hold on, just... Okay, Doodlebugs, back to this. I'm sorry, I skipped a section. I confused myself for a minute. Let's go back. The blue stars were the original Byzantine Empire. Those are the blue stars right here. Now, Africa and Egypt, the green stars are what Justinian first conquered. He first conquered these areas because he conquered the Vandals. He wanted to get that land back, and those guys were called the Vandals. Then he went to Italy, and he conquered that group of barbarians, and those guys were called the Ostrogoths. Finally, he said, you know what? I want a little more of my empire back. So he came over here to the purple area, and just the southern area of Spain. If you look, he just got the little tip of Spain, and he conquered the Visigoths in order to get that land back. And he even got a little tip over here, if you see that. So he worked very hard. Again, he had this little area, and then he grew. He almost doubled the empire in size. So that was a very good thing for the Byzantine Empire. Now, I want you to pause the recording right here, and I want you to think about these questions, and I want you to be ready to talk about them when you come to class. Who is the greatest Byzantine emperor? Who expanded the size of the Byzantine Empire? What do we call the set of laws created by Justinian for the Byzantine Empire? And we're going to talk about whether or not you think those are fair in class. And why is it important to have laws and make people follow them? Those are very, very important ideas. I want you to come to class, join me, and let's have some fun with mapping skills and talk about these laws a little bit more. Now, I look forward to seeing you next week in class. This is Miss Gina. I'm recording this a week early. I'm going to put it on the playback table, and I hope that you will watch that flip lesson before you come to class. I love you guys. You are fabulous. If you choose not to come to class, log into the OLS after you view this recording. Complete the unit checkpoint, Unit 6, Lesson 3. If you're watching the survey for the attendance link, you can get credit. I'd prefer that you come to class again and let me work with your mapping skills and just have some fun with me for just a few minutes. But if you don't, the code word is Byzantine, and here's the survey link for attendance. Thanks, guys.